Success comes after many failures. Buddhist story, Buddhism. Opening with a powerful hook, success is often mistakenly seen as a straight path, a journey that moves upward without setbacks or stumbles. But the reality is quite the opposite. Success is paved with failure. As Thomas Edison, the inventor who brought light to the world through the incandescent bulb, once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of what we all experience in our lives. Before we can achieve anything truly remarkable, we must embrace failure as part of the process. But why do so many of us view failure as the end of the road? In a world obsessed with perfection and instant gratification, failure feels like a mark of inadequacy, a sign that we're not good enough. However, Buddhism offers a different perspective. It teaches that failure is not an obstacle but a necessary step on the path to enlightenment. In fact, the struggles we face are meant to shape us, not break us. Framing the idea in a Buddhist context, Buddhism views life through the lens of impermanence, what we call anicca. Everything is constantly changing, evolving, and shifting. The failures we experience today are not fixed. They are as fleeting as success itself. If we accept that nothing in life is permanent, we can also accept that failure is a temporary state, not a final one. Just as the seasons change, so do our circumstances. One of the Buddha's key teachings is that suffering, or dukkha, is a part of life. But it's not the suffering itself that defines us, it's how we respond to it. Do we give up in the face of adversity, or do we learn and grow from it? In this sense, failure becomes a tool for personal development, a way to practice resilience, and an opportunity to cultivate the virtues of patience and perseverance. Personal reflection. I remember a time in my life when failure seemed like a permanent wall. I had poured months into a project, only to see it crumble before my eyes. The disappointment was crushing, and I was tempted to give up. But then I realized something. Every failure I had experienced up to that point had taught me something invaluable. It was through my failures that I learned the importance of persistence, of adapting, and of finding new ways to approach challenges. Reflecting on this experience, I ask you to consider, when have you felt that failure was a final defeat? What if instead you viewed it as a stepping stone toward something greater? How many times have you, like so many others, been on the brink of success, but turned back because the road seemed too hard? The story of Gautama Buddha and the farmer. In ancient times, Gautama Buddha was known for his wisdom and ability to guide people through the trials of life. One day, a poor farmer, frustrated and downtrodden, approached the Buddha. The man had faced numerous failures in his life, failed crops, lost livestock, and endless misfortunes. He believed that life was being unjust to him and that no matter what he did, success remained out of reach. The farmer, in his desperation, asked the Buddha, "Why do I keep failing? Why do others seem to succeed while my life is filled with struggle?" The Buddha listened carefully and then responded, "Everyone has 83 problems in life. No one can escape these problems, whether rich or poor, healthy or sick, powerful or powerless. You may solve 1, 2, or even 10 of your problems, but more will always take their place." The farmer, confused, asked, "But then what is the point? What's the use of trying if there will always be more problems?" Buddha replied with a gentle smile, "The point is not to eliminate all problems, but to eliminate your desire for life to be free of them. It's not about avoiding failure, but understanding that failure is simply another part of life's natural rhythm." This simple but profound teaching is a reminder that failure is not the exception but the rule. Life, like the farmer's crops, has seasons of abundance and seasons of scarcity. If we can shift our mindset from fearing failure to accepting it as a natural occurrence, we free ourselves from much of the suffering that comes from unmet expectations. The role of resilience in Buddhism. Buddhism teaches us the virtue of resilience through the concept of chanti, patience or forbearance. Failure is inevitable, but how we react to failure is what shapes our path forward. The Buddha himself experienced numerous setbacks on his journey to enlightenment. After years of rigorous asceticism, nearly starving himself, and pushing his body to the brink of collapse, he realized that these extreme measures were not the way to spiritual awakening. This realization, which came after what many would consider a monumental failure, led him to the middle way, a balanced approach to life. The lesson here is clear. Failure is not a sign that you should give up, but a signal that you might need to change your approach. It teaches you adaptability, the ability to pivot when necessary, and the strength to carry on despite setbacks. Personal insights and reflections. Think of the times when failure seemed to be the end of the road for you. Perhaps it was a career setback, a failed relationship, or an unfulfilled dream. In those moments, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and defeated. I've been there myself, standing on the edge of giving up. But every time I faced failure, I learned something new about myself and the situation. I learned how to adapt, how to be patient, and most importantly, how to keep going even when it seemed impossible. Failure also teaches us humility. It reminds us that we don't know everything, that we are not in control of all outcomes, and that sometimes the greatest lessons come from the humbling experience of not succeeding right away. In fact, many of the most successful individuals in history have faced significant failures before reaching their ultimate success. From Thomas Edison's countless attempts to create the light bulb to Steve Jobs being ousted from his own company, these figures demonstrate the Buddhist principle that persistence and adaptability are key. Reflect on your own journey. How have your failures shaped you? What lessons have you learned from them that you wouldn't have gained through success alone? Failure as the path to enlightenment. In Buddhist philosophy, failure is not merely a setback, but a necessary part of the path to enlightenment. The Buddha's journey itself is a testament to the idea that failure is often a stepping stone to ultimate success. Before his enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama tried various spiritual practices, many of which ended in failure. His attempts to find truth through extreme asceticism, self-deprivation, and severe meditation did not bring him closer to the understanding he sought. In fact, it was only after these methods failed that he realized the importance of balance, leading to the discovery of the middle way, a core teaching in Buddhism. This lesson emphasizes that enlightenment, or any form of true success, comes not from avoiding failure, but from embracing it as a teacher. Each failure is an opportunity to refine your approach, deepen your understanding, and develop your spiritual and emotional resilience. The story of the poisoned arrow. Another story from the Buddha's teachings highlights how attachment to success or fear of failure can be obstacles in themselves. In the famous parable of the poisoned arrow, a man is struck by an arrow. Instead of allowing the arrow to be removed, he demands to know who shot it, what kind of arrow it is, and other irrelevant details. In the process of overanalyzing the situation, he misses the chance to be healed and ultimately dies. The lesson here is clear. Instead of getting caught up in overthinking failures or becoming obsessed with why things went wrong, we should focus on moving forward and dealing with the present moment. Failure, much like the poisoned arrow, should not be dwelled upon excessively. It is an experience to learn from and then move beyond. Overcoming the fear of failure. One of the most significant barriers to success is the fear of failure. This fear can paralyze us, preventing us from taking risks, trying new things, or even stepping out of our comfort zones. In Buddhist teachings, fear arises from attachment, our attachment to outcomes, to success, and to our ego. When we are overly attached to the idea of always succeeding, failure becomes something terrifying, something that defines us rather than teaches us. However, Buddhism teaches us to cultivate non-attachment, which can help us transcend the fear of failure. Non-attachment does not mean giving up on our goals or ambitions. Rather, it means letting go of the need for things to always turn out a certain way. When we approach life with non-attachment, we can embrace failure as part of the process without letting it discourage us. Personal reflections on fear of failure. Many of us, myself included, have faced moments in life where the fear of failure felt overwhelming. Whether it's starting a new business, entering into a relationship, or pursuing a dream, the possibility of failure often holds us back. But in reflecting on my own experiences, I've realized that the times I feared failure the most were also the moments I learned the most when I embraced the uncertainty. It was in facing failure head-on that I grew stronger, more capable, and more self-aware. Think about a time in your life when fear of failure prevented you from pursuing something. How did it feel to hold yourself back? And what happened when you finally let go of that fear and took the leap anyway? In those moments, we often discover that failure is not the end, it's just part of the journey. The Buddhist approach to long-term success. In the context of Buddhism, long-term success is not measured by material wealth or status, but by inner peace, contentment, and spiritual growth. However, even in modern interpretations, we can apply Buddhist principles to achieve success in a way that aligns with our values and personal growth. Here are a few key Buddhist strategies for long-term success. 1. Mindfulness. Buddhism places great emphasis on mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment. When we are mindful, we can approach our goals with clarity and focus, rather than being distracted by regrets about past failures or anxieties about future outcomes. Mindfulness also helps us stay grounded during times of failure, allowing us to observe the situation without being consumed by negative emotions. In practical terms, mindfulness can enhance your productivity, decision-making, and problem-solving abilities. By staying present and attentive to what's happening right now, you're better equipped to handle challenges as they arise. 2. Non-attachment to results. As mentioned earlier, non-attachment is a crucial concept in Buddhism. When applied to success, it means working diligently toward your goals while letting go of the need for a specific outcome. This doesn't mean you don't care about success. It means you understand that success is a process, not a destination. Non-attachment frees you from the anxiety of failure and allows you to focus on the quality of your efforts, knowing that the outcome will follow naturally. 3. Karma and right effort. Buddhism teaches the law of karma, which emphasizes the importance of right action and intention. When pursuing success, this principle can be translated into right effort, putting in the necessary work with honesty, integrity, and mindfulness. Success achieved through unethical means or shortcuts often leads to negative consequences, both internally and externally. By focusing on right effort, you align your actions with your values, ensuring that your success is sustainable and fulfilling in the long run. 4. Patience and perseverance. Success rarely comes overnight. Buddhist teachings on patience and perseverance remind us that lasting success is built over time, through consistent effort and resilience. The story of the Buddha's journey to enlightenment is a perfect example of this. It took him years of searching, learning, and making mistakes before he finally attained the wisdom he sought. The same is true for any significant achievement in life. Patience also helps us deal with failure in a healthy way. Instead of seeing a setback as a permanent defeat, we can view it as a temporary obstacle that can be overcome with time and effort. 5. Compassion and generosity. In Buddhism, success is not just about personal gain, but also about contributing to the well-being of others. Compassion and generosity are central to the Buddhist way of life. When applied to modern success, this means that true success involves lifting others up as you rise. Whether through mentorship, charity, or simply offering a helping hand, integrating compassion into your path ensures that your success benefits not just yourself, but also those around you. Applying Buddhist strategies to personal and professional life. In my own life, I've found that the Buddhist approach to success has had a profound impact. By focusing on mindfulness and non-attachment, I've been able to remain calm and centered even in the face of failure. Practicing right effort has helped me stay aligned with my values, and patience has taught me that true success takes time. Compassion and generosity have added a sense of purpose to my achievements, reminding me that success is not just about personal gain. Reflecting on your journey, how can you apply these Buddhist strategies to your own path? Are there areas in your life where you can practice more mindfulness, patience, or compassion? Can you shift your focus from the end result to the quality of your efforts? Building resilience through Buddhist teachings. Resilience is one of the most powerful attributes we can cultivate in the face of life's challenges, particularly when dealing with failure. In Buddhist teachings, resilience is deeply intertwined with the practice of equanimity, a state of mental calmness and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. Buddhism encourages us to develop resilience by embracing change and impermanence, understanding that all things are temporary, including our failures and hardships. The role of impermanence in building resilience. Impermanence, or anicca, is one of the foundational principles of Buddhist thought. It teaches us that everything in life is transient: our successes, our failures, our joys, and our sorrows. This understanding is not meant to induce despair, but rather to liberate us from the clinging and aversion that cause suffering. When we deeply internalize the concept of impermanence, we can face setbacks with greater calm and resilience, knowing that they too will pass. In practical terms, this means that when we experience failure, we don't have to be overwhelmed by it. Instead, we can accept it as part of the ebb and flow of life. Failure, like success, is fleeting. The key is not to avoid failure, but to ride the wave of change with grace and stability. Personal reflection on impermanence. In my own life, I've found that understanding impermanence has been a game changer in how I handle adversity. In moments when I felt crushed by a significant failure or loss, reminding myself that everything changes helped me regain perspective. Knowing that the pain wouldn't last forever gave me the strength to keep moving forward. This practice of acknowledging impermanence not only builds resilience, but also helps us appreciate the present moment, knowing that it, too, is temporary. Take a moment to reflect on a time when you were deeply affected by a failure or disappointment. How might understanding impermanence have changed your reaction? Can you apply this perspective to your current challenges? Equanimity as a tool for resilience. Equanimity, or upekkha, is another crucial Buddhist practice for building resilience. It is the mental balance that allows us to stay steady, regardless of external circumstances. When we cultivate equanimity, we are able to face both success and failure with the same sense of calm and poise. Instead of getting caught up in the highs of success or the lows of failure, we remain grounded, knowing that both are part of the natural cycle of life. Equanimity doesn't mean indifference or passivity. It means that we can fully engage with life while maintaining a sense of inner peace. When failure comes, equanimity helps us see it as a momentary setback rather than a defining event. It allows us to recover more quickly and continue moving toward our goals. How to cultivate equanimity. 1. Mindfulness practice. One of the best ways to cultivate equanimity is through mindfulness meditation. By regularly practicing mindfulness, we can train our minds to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. This practice helps us develop the ability to step back from our immediate reactions to failure and see the bigger picture. 2. Gratitude for the journey. Another way to foster equanimity is by cultivating gratitude for the process, rather than focusing solely on the outcome. When we shift our attention from external results to the personal growth and lessons we gain along the way, we can maintain a sense of balance regardless of whether we succeed or fail. 3. Compassion for self and others. Equanimity is also strengthened by practicing compassion, both for ourselves and for others. When we fail, it's easy to fall into self-criticism or blame, but by treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a friend, we can recover from failure more quickly and with greater resilience. Personal reflections on equanimity. I remember a time in my life when I faced a significant professional setback. At first, I felt overwhelmed by the failure and worried that it would derail my progress. However, as I turned to mindfulness and equanimity, I found a sense of peace that allowed me to approach the situation with a clear mind. By accepting the failure without becoming emotionally consumed by it, I was able to bounce back faster than I expected. The role of self-compassion in overcoming failure. Self-compassion is a powerful antidote to the sting of failure. In Buddhist practice, compassion is not only directed outward to others, but also inward toward ourselves. When we fail, it's natural to experience feelings of disappointment, shame, or frustration. However, these feelings can be compounded by the harsh inner dialogue we often engage in. Instead of beating ourselves up over our shortcomings, Buddhism teaches us to approach ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would show a friend who is struggling. Why self-compassion matters. When we treat ourselves with compassion, we create an environment of emotional safety. This safety is essential for growth and resilience because it allows us to acknowledge our failures without fear of judgment. Instead of viewing failure as a reflection of our worth, we can see it as a natural part of the human experience, something that everyone goes through. Self-compassion helps us approach failure with curiosity and openness, allowing us to learn and grow from the experience rather than becoming stuck in self-criticism. Practices to cultivate self-compassion. 1. Mindful self-awareness. The first step in cultivating self-compassion is to become aware of how you speak to yourself when you fail. Do you berate yourself or label yourself as a failure? Begin to notice these patterns without judgment. Simply observing your inner dialogue can help you create space to introduce more compassionate thoughts. Self-compassion meditation. You can also practice self-compassion meditation, where you intentionally direct feelings of kindness and care toward yourself. As you meditate, you might silently repeat phrases like, "May I be kind to myself," or "May I accept myself as I am." Over time, this practice can shift your relationship with failure, making it easier to treat yourself with understanding when things don't go as planned. 3. Reframing failure. Another way to practice self-compassion is to reframe failure as an opportunity for growth. Instead of seeing it as a personal flaw, view it as a learning experience. This shift in perspective can help you approach failure with greater curiosity and less self-judgment. Personal reflection on self-compassion. In my own life, self-compassion has been a crucial tool for overcoming the emotional weight of failure. There have been times when my inner critic was harsh, making failure feel unbearable. But when I began practicing self-compassion, I noticed a significant change. Instead of dwelling on my mistakes, I was able to acknowledge them, learn from them, and move forward with greater ease. Take a moment to reflect on how you respond to failure. Are you compassionate with yourself, or do you tend to be critical? How might practicing self-compassion change your experience of failure? Success through letting go. Perhaps one of the most counterintuitive teachings in Buddhism is that true success often comes from letting go. This does not mean abandoning your goals or giving up on your ambitions. Instead, it refers to letting go of the attachment to specific outcomes. When we cling too tightly to the idea of success, we create tension and anxiety, which can actually hinder our progress. The power of letting go. In Buddhism, letting go is a practice of surrender, surrendering the need to control everything, including the results of our efforts. This doesn't mean we stop trying. Rather, it means we do our best and then release our attachment to the outcome. By letting go, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and allow success to unfold naturally. How letting go leads to success. 1. Reduces stress and anxiety. One of the main benefits of letting go is that it reduces stress and anxiety. When we're overly attached to success, every setback feels catastrophic. But when we let go, we can approach challenges with a calmer, more balanced mindset, allowing us to make better decisions and respond to obstacles with greater resilience. 2. Encourages creativity and flexibility. Letting go also encourages creativity and flexibility. When we're not rigidly focused on one specific outcome, we're more open to alternative solutions and opportunities that we might have missed otherwise. This openness often leads to unexpected success.